On today's episode of Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast, "Twas the Night Before Christmas, a year-end blessing for busy women."
Hi, I'm Karen Cooper, a wife, mom of three, real estate broker, team owner, and founder of Empowering Women in Real Estate. As a realtor, I've personally helped well over 700 families in my career, and now I help thousands of women from all across the country balance real life and real estate through daily inspiration, motivation, and actionable plans to increase their success. Listen in as I share stories and tips from my life and business and interview some of my favorite people.
Hi there, I'm glad you're here for today's episode. If you are listening to this live, the day that it airs, it is Christmas Eve, and you are probably running around like crazy. Your to-do list might be a mile long, and that can feel a little extra stressful at a time that is supposed to be peaceful and joyful and hope-filled. And, you add in the work responsibilities. You might have clients that are feeling the pressure. You add in additional family dynamics and responsibilities, and that puts a whole lot on you. And so I thought that I would just talk about a little bit of that today. And this will probably be a little shorter episode because you got a lot of things going on today, as do I. So, twas the night before Christmas. And, if you're anything like me, your heart is probably very full. I feel very grateful for this year. I feel very grateful for my family, for the opportunities this year. So your heart is probably very full, but your to-do list is also very long. And you are most likely caught somewhere between excitement and exhaustion. And, there's a lot of duality, I think, that women experience when you are just whether you have children or not, when you are caring for a family or you're part of a family, or, we all have people, right? We have people, we have a life outside of our real estate careers. And so, you're probably wrapping gifts, you're wrapping up the year, you might be trying to wrap your mind around how fast it all went. And so today, what I want to offer you is just a moment to kind of settle in, just the two of us, just you and me, and have a few words of wisdom from this, 52-year-old who has been in the real estate industry for 23 years. I'm actively raising three sons, which are now 21 and 19 and 16. And I've learned a lot of things. I continue to learn a lot of things. And I thought I would just share with you just a few things, a few words of wisdom for this season. And I think the first one is to acknowledge your roles. You carry a lot of things. We hold the emotions of our clients and the emotions of our family. And even though you do that, you still manage to show up, even on days when you're not sure how you're doing it. I think we all have those days. You don't want to get out of bed. We've all had those days. But you have to get out of bed, and you put on the happy face, and you show up for your family, and you show up on social media because that's part of the job, and you show up for your clients. And, it's hard. The one that we often don't show up for is ourselves. And, both roles that you have, your role as a realtor, as a real estate broker, having a real estate career, and as a mother or caregiver, or just a person in life with people that you love, both of those roles stretch you. When I think about the things that I have learned and the way that I have been stretched in my real estate career, but also as a mom, as a wife, the things that I have learned and experienced being a caregiver for my parents, for my mother-in-law, for my family members when we've experienced other losses. I have been stretched and shaped more by the things that have happened in my life than in my real estate career. And I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for that. And I've done a lot. I've done a lot of things in my real estate career to be proud of. And I've done a lot of things and continue to do a lot of things that really stretch me. But those things pale in comparison to how the rest of my life has shaped me and stretched me. And you might be in that spot too. And so I want to acknowledge that for you. And I want you to know that all of the roles that you have, everything that you do, you yourself deserve kindness. Kindness and grace is what we all need. And everything that we do and approach in our lives as busy women and entrepreneurs and business owners, it all asks for pieces of our heart. The emotions that we hold for our clients when they're going through these stressful times, and the way that we care for the people in our world, it all asks for pieces of your heart, but in different ways. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, we're not one or the other. We are multiple things all at once, which is actually really, really amazing. If you are someone who feels like you fell short this year, maybe this year didn't look the way you hoped. Maybe the market felt heavy, because it was. The market was heavy. Maybe life felt even heavier than that. Just a couple things for you. I want to give you a little reassurance that your numbers don't define you. It's just numbers. It's just data. And it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define the quality of the service you provide to your clients. It does not define your value as a realtor. Most definitely doesn't define your value as a person. And it does not have anything to do with how your next year is going to go, unless you stay focused on it. And you can make that choice to move forward with hope and possibility and make some changes and be consistent. And your next year, this time next year, you're going to feel completely different. Things are going to look completely different than they do right now if you allow them to do so. So just remember that those numbers don't define you. Give you a little bit of encouragement. Seasons shift, market shift. I've been in business for 23 years. I've seen so many markets, up, down, in between. And, while I have certainly survived markets that have been very, very difficult, not just from a functional point of view, but from a financial point of view, there's always been business. People have always needed to move. And so even though things may shift either in the market or in your own life, we all go through those phases. I've gone through periods in my life where I wasn't able to work the way that I wanted to work because of my own health issues or, caring for family. And, those things change, those seasons shift, they come and go. And so just as they shift, so will you. And it doesn't have to continue into the next year. And I just want to kind of normalize a little bit any feelings of disappointment or discouragement that you may feel. I think sometimes we have a tendency as women to think, in fact, I was talking to somebody just recently and she's like, it was on one of our, it's our annual reset call with the inner circle. And she said, I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. Like it was a negative thing that she was emotional. And I think we, as women, a lot of times we try to hide our emotions, and really those emotions are what make us so special and give us so much power. And it's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. And it's okay to say that you were disappointed. It's okay to be discouraged. It's okay to say that you were discouraged. In fact, and I've learned this for myself, I've learned this, and I've had to learn this over and over and over again, even just recently in a conversation I had with my husband. Sometimes just saying out loud, giving voice, giving word to that emotion that you're feeling, it takes the power away. And for me, it's almost palpable. Like it's practically instantaneous when I just voice whatever that worry is that is spinning in my mind, whatever that disappointment is that, wherever I'm feeling discouraged, You know, just saying it out loud to someone who cares in a safe place, it changes immediately. The power is gone and you can move forward and move past it. And so I want to encourage you that if you are feeling some disappointment, if you are feeling some discouragement, it's normal. Those are normal human emotions. And find a person, a place. If you don't have anybody, message me and just voice that, because once you voice it, then that puts you on the path to moving past it. 6 years ago, when I began shifting away from serving clients myself, but still producing a high level of volume and income, I wish there had been a model or a blueprint to follow. And that's why I've created the Midlife Real Estate Blueprint. It's the next step for experienced women in real estate who want to keep the income and change the way they work. Inside this program, you'll redesign your role, install simple, repeatable systems, and create margin for what matters to you while staying highly productive. We have 2 programs now available, a 5-week live program with coaching and community, or a self-paced edition that you can start anytime. When you're ready, visit empoweringwomeninrealestate.com and click on Midlife Real Estate Blueprint. And I just want you to know, don't let one hard year, or maybe you've had 2 hard years. I went through a phase where I feel like I had like 5 hard years in a row. Don't let a hard year convince you that you're not capable, because you are more capable than you know. You have far more skill than you know. You have far more capability than you know. And don't let a discouraging year, a disappointing year convince you that you can't do it. And then for the woman who had a wonderful year, right? And I'm kind of in this boat right this minute, I'll be honest with you. For the woman who had a really wonderful year, but you feel quietly scared about next year. That is, I think, the fear a lot of times, whether it's a wonderful year in your personal life or a wonderful year in your business. Maybe this was your best year ever in your real estate career. And maybe you're a little secretly worried that you're not going to be able to repeat it. I've definitely been there in the past with respect to my real estate business. I've been feeling a little bit that way myself this year. This has been a very transformative year for me in a lot of ways. I've talked about it on multiple different episodes this year. I talked about it a lot in the gratitude episode last month that aired right before Thanksgiving. And, I think, I think that's kind of a normal human fear or emotion, that it's almost like when things get too good, it's going to go away, or you're not going to be able to do it again. And so it's okay. I just want to kind of normalize that fear for you, that feeling, if you are feeling that way, and just kind of, maybe reframe things for you just a little bit. And as I tell you, I'm telling myself that, you had a great year this year because of who you are, not because of the market, not because of luck, because of who you are, because of how much you care, because of the work that you do, because of the focus you have. And who you are doesn't change on January 1st. So as you move forward with that thought in your heart. And before we, as we kind of move into this holiday season, today is, if you're listening to this the day it airs, today is Christmas Eve. And, before you dive into Christmas morning, for me, Christmas morning is my favorite time. It's, me and my husband and our kids, and I just enjoy that time. It's noisy, it's joyful, it's messy. And so I just want you to offer you a little bit of a, kind of a grounding practice, if we will, something that's kind of easy and kind of calming. And, one of the things I've really been focusing on this year is just being present, right? Not presents, the pretty gift wrap things that are under your tree, but being present in whatever the moment is that I am in. That's especially hard for me, and maybe for you if you are a person like I am who loves to plan, love a good plan. In fact, just, the other day, of course I always record these for you early, but just the other day I was crafting the entire training schedule for our real estate team and the inner circle for next year. I love a good plan. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, when you spend your now and you try to spend it in the future, making plans and figuring out what's next and what might happen, or you spend it in the past, worried about what used to be and, and how that could have changed or been different, then you are missing the present. You are missing right now. And so if you could just take a few minutes to just, take a deep breath and just acknowledge, I am here. I am here in this present moment. This is enough, and I am enough. It's one of the things that I have journaled to myself all year. My word of the year was worthy. And I would write, I am worthy of my dreams. I am worthy of my dreams. And I wrote that every day, all year long. And in fact, the last few weeks, I have been writing, and I'm going to try not to cry. On the last few weeks, I have been writing, I am worthy of God's dream for me. There's a little picture that I have that's on my vision board, and I actually shared it in a post last year in our Empowering Women in Real Estate community on Facebook, which we're a community of over 40,000 women in the real estate industry. So, come join us if you're not over there. And there's this picture, this graphic, and there's a picture of a singular flower. It's like a singular tulip, and it says your plan. And then right next to it is this big, lush, beautiful bouquet, and it says God's plan. And God, isn't that the truth? And we hold ourselves back from that all the time. And so I spent most of the year saying, I am worthy of my dreams. But I fully acknowledge and feel and see where God's dream for me, God's plans for me are so much bigger than I could ever perceive or imagine. And so now I have started to write every morning, I am worthy of God's dream for me, because I am, and so are you. So I just want to kind of leave you with a little blessing, a little maybe affirmation for you. May your home be peaceful. May your heart be steady. May your spirit feel gently held. And may you walk into tomorrow with joy, not pressure, presence, not perfection, and gratitude for the woman you've become this year. You are worthy of slowing down. You can put the phone down today and tomorrow. You are worthy of joy. You're worthy of celebrating the woman you are right now, not the version that you think you need to be, or that looks like the person on Instagram that you love to stalk that makes you feel bad about yourself. You are more worthy than you know. Merry Christmas, my friends. I'm so grateful for you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast. Click subscribe to be notified every Wednesday when our latest episode is released, and be sure to check out our group on Facebook.